supporting local, regional, and national unsigned bands. This is Domk.
Yeah, this is the DOMKcast with Lunchbox and Promo Brady. I'm loving the direction and how much this has grown over the last couple of months since Brady and I started doing this. I mean, we've had guests like Corey Glover from Living Color, Sonny from POD, Dorothy Martin from Dorothy. Get a load of the guests that we got coming up in the upcoming weeks. Next week, we're going to have Maria Brink from In This Moment, a bonus DOMKcast with the guys from Dinosaur Pilot before their show at the Brady Theater next Sunday with Chevelle. And then we got bands booked like Butcher Babies, Greta Van Fleet, and local guys, the Normandies. I love this week's guest because he comes from a band that's the epitome of independent music. They do it all on their own. All their promoting, the producing of their music. It's Nate, the drummer of the Band Royale. What's going on, man?
We're doing our second extended play, our second EP of the calendar year already. We're finishing up tonight and Thursday night. You always get really giddy. We do vocals last. I don't know how most bands go about things, but, you know, when you finally hear the vocals on a track, that's where you get really excited about it.
Is that something you geek out with, the recording process that goes into, like, putting together a new album?
It's really interesting I'm still a young musician. I'm 29, and the band is three brothers, and then it's our good buddy Mark who plays bass. The first album, you never really know if you're going to have a second one because so much goes into your first album. I absolutely, as a drummer, I overreached. I went for it, you know what I mean? So you have this part of you that technically you want to put things on there, sort of make your mark as a drummer, let people know your skill level or that you can play.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I always go back to like Gish, man. You listen to Gish by the Pumpkin and it's a rockin' record. Right? I mean, those guys, some of the solos and some of the drum fills. But then there's a reason why Siamese Dream comes out and you have a song like Today, which is total departure. So we definitely experienced that with the first, the debut album, and then even moving through some of our EPs and our live albums to this next body of music we're going to put out.
Yeah, you mentioned Smashing Pumpkins. They're a band that's from Chicago. You guys from Chicago as well. It's like one of my favorite cities to visit. I've been there a couple times.
I'm sitting in my studio right now, and if I told you some of this, I have the drum machine that they did the loop from 1979 with. Yeah. I've got a bunch of Jimmy's cymbals. I've got the snare from Melancholy. I got a bunch of the cymbals. Those guys have been, we somehow were able to just link up and befriend those guys and have a good amount of, especially from Jimmy, of mentorship on how to be a drummer, record, all that sort of stuff. It's been pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that's a good guy to learn from.
Your drumming is pretty tight, I have to say, because I was watching a couple of your live performances on YouTube. How do you not get worn out by the end of it?
So that was and again, not to get too drummer centric, but that's sort of playing. You do wear out. You learn more as you get older. That sort of less is more, and even how you hold your drumstick, your hand can cramp.
Yeah.
You get 30, 40 minutes into a show, and you can experience difficulty even, keeping a good grip on the stick. So again, drummers, a lot of drummers, I was very much heavy-handed. I was very enthusiastic as a drummer. And I definitely was just gifted with some talent from a technical standpoint. And that debut album, I went for it, and it was, looking back, it's like I don't even know.
Don't know where to go from here now.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would try and go relearn some of that stuff and try and play like lick for lick. But I really did. I put it out there, and when you see any live footage, you can see that. Oh man, this dude, he went for it.
Yeah, you went for it for sure.
So
Brady and I do CrossFit throughout the week. It seems like playing the drums, doing a whole set playing the drums. Now that is a workout in itself. Just keeping the beat going.
Well, they say, I've read somewhere that like a 45-minute, set, sort of the way that our band plays, like a 45-minute, the Band Royale set, is equivalent to a 90-minute soccer match as far as cardio.
I totally believe that.
So I'm worried that if I get more mature and I have better stick control, meaning I'm getting the most out of my limbs and my drum set, the best drummers aren't sweating like crazy because they've got the right control and they've got their drums put in places where it's easier to access. So I worry the more mature I get, the more fat I'm going to get because I'll have to work.
Because you don't see too many fat drummers out there.
Playing the
really
drums
don't.
with ease, man.
And that's one of those things that I know someday. And again, we're all brothers, so there's no timeline here. Like, hey, we're gonna do this forever.
Yeah.
I have EPs and albums coming out forever, but I know that I'm gonna have people, ask me about like, oh, you're drumming on this, you're drumming on that, and they're going to be looking for such musical-oriented questions. I'm going to be like, I can't read music, I don't practice very often, I wanted to sweat less,
yeah.
I just accidentally put that thing in that place, so I just kept it there. Like, yeah, it's going to be very underwhelming for someone someday to talk to.
Wow.
So you guys are from Chicago. So, what's your favorite place to go in Chicago?
So we grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan,
Okay.
and we got a really good group of buddies, and it just so happened that there was a class of 2005 and there was a class of 2002, and a bunch of guys from the 2002 class had little brothers in the 2005 class. So it's just like all these dudes, they grew up together, a few years apart, big brother, little brother. And we moved to Chicago, a bunch of us. Shuba's was always our watering hole. I mean, it still is, on Belmont and Southport. And it's a historical venue. It's kind of, whether you saw the Walkmen there or the Killers or you name it, like they had to come up through there, Pierre, Bjorn, and John, you can see that. And it's like a 175 cap venue. So a couple of our buddies in that same clique, we always said, you guys should buy this place someday. And last year they did. They bought Lincoln Hall and they bought Shuba's. So a place I already felt like more or less should have had a cot in the back room for me to sleep on. Mm-hmm. And then your best friend just buy the place, and it's just that's where we play, and that's where we hang. We try to play 1 to 2 shows a year, and either both at Shuba's or one more heavily promoted at Lincoln Hall.
Yeah.
And then one. We try to do at least one free show a year, but Shuba's in Lincoln Hall, one's about 500 cap, one's about 200 cap, and that's just home for us.
Yeah, because one of the videos I saw on YouTube was you guys performing there at Lincoln Hall. It looks like a really cool, intimate, very cool place to see a show.
The acoustics are awesome. The balcony's great. The kitchen is really good, too. I mean, it's an all-encompassing venue. I don't know. I think there's something charming about it. I never fantasized, and I still don't fantasize about, playing arenas or 3 cap or 4,000 cap venues. I've always been really into that, that 400 to 800 capacity range is where all my favorite shows happen. So that's my favorite little place to catch shows, and it's my favorite place to like a proper album, not an EP, like an album release. That we do that at Lincoln Hall.
Yeah, I get that. In terms of concert venues here in Tulsa, you've got a big stadium, the BOK Center, where a lot of the big shows go. With just announced Foo Fighters will be there later on this year. But then you have a smaller venue called the Cain's Ballroom. There's such history there, and it's kind of a smaller, intimate setting, and I think that's the best place to go see a show in town. So.
Oh yeah, I tell you, I saw it in 2012 at the Vic, which is a block from our house here, and it's a 1,500 cap venue. But I was just like, man, I was so pumped to see people. I mean, in 2012, you had Lonerism, and you didn't have, I'm having a brain fart, the last record they put out that was just a little bit more dancey, a little bit more electronic. Uh-huh. But it was just like, there's 1,500 people just rocking out to like Australian classic rock at that venue. For me, was like, okay, I'm putting the Band Royale together. We're getting all my brothers and we're doing this thing.
Now, you were talking about doing free shows earlier. I like you guys' stance in terms of putting out free music onto social media. And you guys don't believe in selling your music. You just want to be out there. Talk about your stance on that.
We lean heavily on my older brother Joel, who's the guitarist and lyricist, to sort of conceptualize the art, the music, the melodies, the direction. And then I really iron out and mold sort of the game plan operationally, timeline, what our actual expectations are as bands. And we never wanted to do this as like we would love to play 3 months out of the year, tour 3-4 months out of the year, and that be all we did for our income. But the thing that a lot of people we've been and bands don't realize is even bands that is how they make their income touring. There's a lot of work to make professional wages and have proper health benefits to take care of yourself and your family when you start one as a musician. It's really, really hard to do. And young people, their expectations are through the roof, and people don't generally have the patience to achieve their goals. I don't think most bands could make it because they didn't have talent, whatever making it was to them, because they didn't stick it out long enough. So when you have a band, everyone is comfortable in life as far as what they're doing, who their family is, where they live. You really approach it more like a Steely Dan project where let's just put music out. We'll put it, you can get it for free on Bandcamp and on SoundCloud. You can listen to the whole album on YouTube. You can buy it on iTunes. You can shoot it on Spotify. Like consume it however you want to, because we still got to go work 9 to 5 tomorrow, regardless of how you listen to our music. Right? Yeah. Maybe when I'm Josh Homme's age, I'll be 42, 43, 44. Maybe in 15 years, 14 years, if we just keep putting out an album every few years and 2 or 3 EPs in between, like that's a body of music. That's an hour and a half, no problem. And you're having to pick between 40 or 50 songs. Maybe we can do 2 or 3 months playing 800 cap venues and then go back to work, whatever it is we're working then. But for us, we'll know when it makes sense to hit the road or to monetize our brand. And really, this is a phase where it's learning how to be songwriters, learning how to enjoy playing music and mature as musicians. And then really, the people will let you know when it's time to go. It takes time to grow things. So it really is about just getting our music into as many people's hands as possible, whatever medium that is, and letting them be our boss. We're gonna release a new 3-track EP, and we're gonna do it only through the bio and the GoFundMe, where for $1 you can pre-order the next full-length debut album, and here's a new 3-track EP just for donating $1 for the next full-length album.
Yeah, that is a cool idea. Now, I was just wondering, like, going through this whole process, obviously you guys have the passion, and that's what drew you guys together to start making music. At one point, did it feel like it was starting to become like a business that you were a part of, the Band Royale?
Well, I was one of the first employees at Reverb.com, and I own a couple small businesses myself. So that sort of brick-and-mortar mentality, there was a foundation of it. And then being the 5th employee at Reverb.com and the head of business development, and then I think they're at like 170 employees now. So, I put in a couple years, and then I got out of there, which is common for a lot of people to do with startups or when they're, that's a company that's just built it to take it sort of public. So I learned from really great businessmen sort of how to do things and how to build yourself to have success over a long period of time. And when it really hit us that the Band Royale for us was something that we could do for decades. Well, we're family. We don't break up. We're family.
Yeah.
Was when we started to look at numbers, right? When I would start to look at, a video of ours, like 1981 on YouTube, when I would see a video that has 5,000 views and 200 comments, that actual, the percentage of people, like you have to log into YouTube to leave a comment, right? So you look at another video that has 500,000 views and it has 50 comments. You do the math there. 5,000 views and 200 comments versus 500,000 views and 50 comments. Like that's a really high conversion. That's people hearing something and wanting to talk about it. You know? So applying some of those metrics and conversions, being like, wow, like per 1,000 views, we are averaging this many comments on YouTube. And then you look at another band who has exponentially more views and a fraction of the comments. What is quantity? And that's where quality versus quantity and actual engagement. I don't know if us getting a blurb on Pitchfork, I'd never say no to it. I can't tell you right now that like that's going to push a bunch of of the right listeners and consumers could be interested in what it is we're doing to our page, or whether they posted a SoundCloud link or to our website. I don't know if that is I don't know if that's going to actually equate.
Well, from your side of things, do you feel like it's easier nowadays for a band to get discovered with all the various forms of social media? You were just talking about YouTube. Obviously, you got SoundCloud. There's so many different forms where you can put your music out there to try to go viral and just get the word out about your band.
Well, the element of virality is very subjective. So another little tidbit. I was at Win Morris Endeavor in Beverly Hills in tour marketing, just